Hello, this is Brandon Zachary with Comic Book Resources, and I'm here today with Frank Miller. How are you doing, Frank?
Doing very well, thanks.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. It is a genuine honor to get to meet you and to get to speak with you. I tell this story all the time when people ask, well, how did I get into comic books? How did I get into superheroes? And I reference this.
Oh, that old
Which I learned to read alongside Dr. Seuss with this. I was given this when I was like 3 or 4 years old.
It's interesting because I learned to read with Dr. Seuss as well. Theodore Geisel remains one of my heroes. I adore. I occasionally sneak the cat in the hat into comic books I do. So, yeah.
That's a good Easter egg to be on the hunt for too.
Yeah.
And just so your career it's been so impactful. You've worked with Marvel, you've worked with DC, you've done so much independent work, and now I have to imagine you've learned so much about this industry and how this industry works. What lessons do you think are the most important that you're bringing to Frank Miller Presents?
I have to answer with two things. One of them was that the art form as presented in America is dying for a much greater diversity of material, and that I would like to contribute to that happening. Mostly by spreading outside the superheroes. As much as I've always loved them, and much as I've really built my name on superheroes, I felt like I really found my calling more when I started doing things like Sin City and moving more into like a space opera like Martha Washington and or much more hard science fiction like Hard Boiled, that I felt like I was much more the route I wanted to pursue. And so with the imprint, I want to continue pushing those boundaries and finding people who really are thinking in terms of this being an expansive medium rather than one that's competing for a larger and larger portion of the same audience. In that spirit comes the second part of my answer, which is I have found myself in recent years becoming more and more dedicated to seeking out the new talent from all over the place, and particularly of all ages, because much of what I want to do with the mission is to reach different ages. And so I've found that two of the most exciting artists who've become involved in this project are Philip Tan, who brings a distinctly Asian perspective with the new Ronin series, and Emma Kubert, who's of the latest generation of Kubert prodigies that go back to World War II. No, more like the Korean War, but and each bring perspectives that I had never imagined in comics. So I'm in a position to teach and to learn.
That is really exciting to be able to kind of continue to grow your career, because you've got one of those careers that if you honestly put up your hat in 20 years ago, people would still be saying you're one of the best creators we've had in this medium. Like definitely one of the most influential. Like, what does that mean to you to know that like so much has come even just of people looking at your work and being inspired by it to make their own? Like, what does that mean to you as a creator?
That's not my perspective. It's maybe I'm neurotically, maybe there's something a psychologist could figure out about my deep neediness to prove myself or something. But it's more like I just feel like there's so much fun to be had, and I've been through some very bad periods in my life where I was much less than productive, and now that the energy is back and everything seems to be in place to do all these things, I feel like time is of the essence, and it's time to, conquer the universe.
Just get the Miller universe completely constructed and built. So I've also got to ask, because we know that Ronin, you've got the continuation of Ronin, like you said. We also have Sin City. We're getting kind of another exploration of that. What has it been like to kind of return to these worlds and to kind of not only come back to them, but to see entirely new visions of them?
Well, with two very different experiences, because with Ronin it is continuing an epic, because Ronin is, for all its weirdness, essentially, it follows it's a chronicle. You're following a rather small cast through long journeys and great, contests. In Sin City, it's very much, it's a very different animal. It's because Sin City is a place and a state of mind, and the cast is ever changing. The next Sin City takes place in the Wild West, so it's I'm going back in time with it, because Sin City is really much more, where Ronin is about the epic, enormous magical forces in play. Sin City is more than anything about morality and human conscience and honor.
Oh, I'm so excited for Sin City. I'm so excited to see Western Sin City. And I'm really excited to see Ronin, but also, I want Western Sin City.
I'm glad.
Now, one of the other things, and you've spoken in other interviews about this, of like how you've used over the years, comics and storytelling in comics as a way of processing harder emotions, stuff like anger, stuff like fear, stuff like things that have, how to deal with the real world is to present it through this art form.
Yeah.
Why is that so important to, as a creative, to hearken to those real emotions when you're in your work?
Oh, I think that's the answer. I'd love to give you a really sophisticated, impressive, intellectual answer. But as anybody who knows me could tell you, I'm a really emotional guy. If I get angry, it's really angry. I mean, you can see my intelligence dropping like this the more angry I get, and comics are, they're a very good emotion for expressing, and very good medium for expressing intense emotion. They're really best at expressing more intense, melodramatic kind of emotion. They're better at that than they are at the more subtle emotions. It's like in that arena, prose fiction is so much better, and cinema is so much better. I mean, there's nothing like a real actor's face to break your heart or draw you in, and so on. A cartoon is essentially, it's a few lines. It's like Robert Crumb once said, "It's only lines on paper, folks." And so you have to strike with your brush and evoke and know that what you're doing is laying down clues with each brush stroke that the reader, without thinking about it, pieces together into a mosaic that makes them feel something. And so the comic book happens in the reader's head much more than it does on the page. The reader does most of the work. No question about that.
That is, I love that so much. That was fantastic. I also think that is all the time we have. Frank,
okay.
thank you so much for taking the time to come and speak with me today. This honestly means so much to me that I got to speak with you. Have a good rest of your day. And your
Thank you
evening.
very much.
And I cannot wait to try and get to talk to you again and just go on forever.
Okay. And as we say in New York, sorry to bend your ear.